Taking a competitive approach to mistakes means that we are viewing mistakes and then responding to mistakes in the most competitive way possible. Now, when athletes get upset about mistakes, they are normally getting upset because they are competitors. They don't want to be making mistakes and they want to be playing their best. That might be the case for yourself, right? You're getting frustrated and upset after you make a mistake because you don't want to be making mistakes. The whole reason why you're out there is to play your best. What I am referring to, though, when I'm talking about taking a competitive approach to the way we view mistakes and then also the way we respond to mistakes, is that going into a game, we need to view mistakes in a way that allows us to play freely and to play aggressively. And then after mistakes, we need to be able to respond to the mistake in a way that allows us to then play aggressively and play freely moving forward. When we go into a game and we are afraid of mistakes, so we are working to make no mistakes, maybe our goal is, I can't make any mistakes today. What can easily happen is that we end up adopting more of an avoidance mindset, where we are trying to avoid mistakes, which then ultimately leads us to holding ourselves back. Within my work, I see this a lot among soccer and basketball players. I think those are two sports where we really see this play out to where, they're scared of making mistakes, so then they don't call for the ball as much. They don't get involved as much. Maybe they go and kind of hide on the field or hide in the corner on the court because they're not out there seeking success. They're out there avoiding failure, avoiding mistakes. If you play another sport like football, baseball, tennis, we will also see this play out in a way where you end up hesitating, holding yourself back because your mind is consumed with not wanting to make mistakes. The challenge with the way we view mistakes going into games is that, again, I know that you don't want to make mistakes. You are out there to try to play your best. And you might even have your coach telling you that you need to minimize mistakes. But when we go into games working to minimize mistakes, playing to avoid mistakes, generally this is not the most competitive approach to take. While making less mistakes will generally lead to us playing well or help our team win, it doesn't really put you in a position to go about playing your personal best. Because if you think of, you playing your best as you playing freely, you playing aggressively, maybe you taking risks, you just playing in that flow state where you're natural, you're free, you're just playing. And then we bring in this idea of, I need to minimize mistakes. Well, we have contradicting goals there. On one hand, we are wanting to play freely, we're wanting to play aggressively, play naturally. But then on the other hand, we are consumed with this fear and this avoidance when it comes to mistakes. They don't go together. So if it's competitive for you to go out there and play freely, play aggressively, it's not going to be competitive for you to try to avoid mistakes because of how much that fear of making mistakes ends up holding you back. So that's where we need to work on changing our initial mentality when it comes to the potential of making mistakes, knowing that if we try to play to not make mistakes, it can quickly turn into avoidance and playing timidly and holding ourselves back. So one way you can approach mistakes going into the game is accepting that they are part of you playing your best. Now, I know that sounds really weird. Making mistakes doesn't necessarily seem like it is part of the process of me playing well, but it's the acceptance of the possibility of mistakes that is part of me playing well. Because there's no way for me to go into a game and completely play freely, play aggressively, if I'm also so concerned with not wanting to make mistakes. Yes, I can do everything in my power to fine-tune my mechanics, understand my game strategy, to try to minimize mistakes. But when it comes to actually working to avoid mistakes, there's no way for us to completely avoid mistakes unless we hold ourselves back, unless we avoid the ball, unless we are playing scared and playing timid, because now we're trying to hide from situations where we have the potential of making mistakes. But if you're wanting to be competitive and play your best, you have to welcome those opportunities where you might make mistakes, not because you want to make mistakes, but because that puts you in a position just the same to be able to play well and to be able to impact the team and the game in a positive way. Now, when it comes to how we respond to mistakes, we equally want to respond to mistakes with this competitive mentality. And what that is going to look like is you thinking to yourself, What mental state and what mood and what kind of focus do I need to have in order to play well moving forward? So, the competitive approach after mistakes happen is looking forward. It's not looking back and thinking about the mistake and getting upset and beating yourself up over the mistake you made. It's looking forward and thinking, yes, I just made this mistake, but what do I need to do to put myself in a position to bounce back and to play well moving forward? That's what a competitive mentality after a mistake looks like. But most of the time, we are upset over the mistake that we made, and we are frustrated because we want to be playing better. But we get stuck thinking about that mistake, and we forget that really what matters is whatever is happening next. Now, if you don't play well when you get frustrated, if you don't play well when you're down on yourself, if you don't play well when you have a lot of negative self talk, then it's likely that by getting upset over that mistake, you are putting yourself in a far worse position to play well. If anything, you are increasing the chances of the snowball effect happening and you making more mistakes moving forward. So, after that mistake, if you are wanting to respond in a competitive way, you have to respond in a way where you move past the mistake, you get yourself reset and refocused so you can play well and aggressively moving forward. It's not that you don't care about the mistake. And I know that when I work with a lot of athletes, we have this discussion where they feel like, if I just move past the mistake, I'm kind of acting like I don't care about the mistake. But it's not about that at all. Because even if you care as much as anybody could possibly care about playing well, that should still help you bounce back better because you care about playing well in the future. And that's all you can control at that point. You can't do anything about the mistake that just happened. Yes, maybe it would have been better for you to not have made the mistake in the first place, but the mistake has already happened. There's nothing we can do to change that. All we can do is change how you play moving forward in the game. But you're not going to play well moving forward in the game if you're still hung up and upset over the past mistake. So I wanted to make this episode for you so that you can really take this new mentality of, I want to be competitive. No matter what happens, I want to be out there and positioning myself to play my best. And it is very difficult to position ourselves to play our best if we're going into games avoiding mistakes and scared of mistakes, and if we get overly upset and frustrated after mistakes happen, because both of those take us out of the mentality that we need to have in order to play well, and they put us further and further from our goal, which is to ultimately play our best. So going into a game, you want to accept that there is the possibility of mistakes, but you're not wanting to avoid mistakes. You're wanting to work to play your best. And working to play your best has to come with this initial acceptance that there is the potential of making mistakes. And then when mistakes do happen during the game, instead of beating yourself up over the mistake, remember that the only thing that matters is what's about to happen next. So what do you need to do to bounce back and reset so you can be in a competitive mentality for whatever is about to happen next on the field or on the court? Now, if you are interested in my one-on-one coaching program where we will dive into this competitive mentality when it comes to mistakes, along with many other mental skills, I've put a link to learn more about that in the description below. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.